if you ask the wrong way, she won't just say no, she'll emotionally step back. And most men never realize it wasn't the request that failed, it was the psychology behind it. As a female psychologist, I want you to understand something most men were never taught. Asking a woman for intimacy is not about timing, confidence, or clever words. It's about emotional safety. Rejection doesn't happen because you wanted closeness. It happens because her nervous system. Here's the truth most men never hear. A woman doesn't reject intimacy. She rejects emotional pressure. And pressure isn't always obvious. Sometimes it sounds polite. Sometimes it sounds confident. Sometimes it sounds calm. But her nervous system feels it instantly. When you ask for intimacy, she isn't just hearing your words. She's scanning your emotional state. She's asking herself, is he grounded? Or is he hoping this will fill something inside him? That distinction determines everything. A man who gets rejected is usually asking from need. A man who doesn't is asking from connection. Need feels heavy. It feels urgent. It feels outcome-focused. Even when unspoken, it creates tension. Connection feels present. It feels optional. It feels safe. When a woman senses that intimacy is being requested as proof of desire, validation, or reassurance, her system pulls back. Not because she doesn't like you, but because intimacy is not meant to regulate your emotions. This is why waiting for the perfect moment rarely works. Moments don't create readiness. Emotional attunement does. One of the biggest mistakes men make is asking for intimacy as a transition instead of as a continuation. They shift the energy suddenly. Conversation is light, then abruptly sexual. Her nervous system experiences this as disconnection, not attraction. Women open when intimacy feels like the natural extension of emotional closeness, not a sharp turn. Watch how she's engaging before you ask. Is she relaxed? Is she leaning in emotionally? Is there mutual presence? If she feels seen, heard, and emotionally met, intimacy feels safe to explore. If she feels rushed or evaluated, it feels invasive. Another key factor is emotional leadership. This doesn't mean dominance, it means regulation. When you stay calm regardless of outcome, her system relaxes. When you're emotionally steady, you communicate that intimacy is welcome but not demanded. That's attractive, not because it's confident, but because it's safe. Men often think rejection happens because they weren't bold enough. In reality, rejection happens when a woman senses that saying no would destabilize you. If she feels responsible for your emotional state, she won't move closer, she'll create distance. The way you frame intimacy matters too. Asking directly isn't the issue. Asking transactionally is. If your request carries an unspoken expectation, after everything I've done or because it's time, her nervous system tightens. Intimacy isn't owed. It's offered when safety and desire align. Here's what works instead: presence without demand. You stay connected. You read the room emotionally. You invite rather than request. You make it clear, through tone, pacing, and calm, that closeness is an option, not a test. And here's the paradox most men don't understand. The less your self-worth depends on her answer, the safer intimacy feels to her. When rejection wouldn't collapse you, intimacy doesn't feel risky to her. Women don't fear intimacy. They fear being emotionally responsible for a man afterward. When you understand this, rejection stops being personal. It becomes information. And when you respond to that information with calm, respect, and steadiness, something powerful happens. Her system starts to trust that closeness with you doesn't come with emotional consequences. And trust is where intimacy begins. The way you respond before and after you ask is often more important than the question itself. This is where most men either build desire quietly or shut it down without realizing it. A woman is constantly reading emotional subtext, not consciously, but instinctively. When you move toward intimacy, she's asking herself one core question: will I feel safe here if I say yes? And if I say no? If the answer to either is uncertain, her system closes. This is why emotional pacing matters. Intimacy is not a switch you flip. It's a rhythm you enter together. When you slow down emotionally, when you let moments breathe, when you allow silence without filling it, Her nervous system has time to settle. Desire needs space. Rushing collapses it. One of the most effective ways to avoid rejection is something counterintuitive. You give her room to choose. That means you don't corner her with intensity, expectation, or urgency. You stay connected, grounded, and relaxed. You make closeness feel like an invitation she can step into, not a doorway she's being pushed through. Notice how she responds to small bids for closeness before you ever ask. Does she maintain eye contact? Does she lean in emotionally? Does her tone soften? These are green lights. Ignoring these signals and asking anyway isn't confidence, it's emotional blindness. Another mistake men make is treating intimacy like a reward at the end of the interaction, as if emotional connection is just the price of admission. Women feel this instantly. When intimacy is framed as a goal, it becomes pressure. When it's framed as shared experience, it becomes desire. Pay attention to how you hold yourself emotionally. Are you present in your body or tense and anticipatory? Are you enjoying the moment or waiting for the outcome? Desire grows when you are in the moment, not mentally ahead of it. There's also something crucial about how you handle hesitation. Hesitation is not rejection, it's processing. When a woman pauses, she's checking in with herself. If you react with disappointment, frustration, or withdrawal, her system learns that intimacy comes with emotional risk. If you respond with calm acceptance, trust deepens. Many men unknowingly punish hesitation by pulling back emotionally, becoming cold, or acting distant. This teaches her that closeness must be earned through compliance, and that dynamic kills genuine desire. What actually builds intimacy is emotional consistency. You remain warm whether she moves closer or not. You stay respectful whether the answer is yes or no. This consistency tells her nervous system that intimacy with you doesn't threaten her autonomy. And here's the psychological shift that changes everything. When you stop asking to get and start inviting to share, rejection loses its power. Because you're no longer seeking validation, you're offering connection. Women don't want to feel chosen because they complied. They want to feel chosen because they wanted the same thing. When your emotional state doesn't depend on the outcome, you become safer to move toward. This is why men who are calm after a not yet often experience desire grow later. Not because they waited, but because they proved emotional maturity. Intimacy is not unlocked by persistence, it's unlocked by emotional intelligence. And when a woman senses that closeness with you will be met with steadiness, respect, and presence, her body opens before her mind does. Because desire doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to safety. The final piece most men never learn is this: intimacy is not something you take permission for, it's something you arrive at together. And when you understand this, rejection stops being something you fear and becomes something you rarely experience. A woman decides whether intimacy feels right long before words are spoken. By the time you ask, her body already knows the answer. Your job is not to convince her. Your job is to make sure nothing in you makes her nervous system pull away. This is why emotional congruence matters more than technique. If your words say calm but your body says tension, she feels the tension. If your tone says relaxed but your energy says I need this, she feels the need. Women trust what they feel, not what you say. The men who experience the least rejection are not the most attractive or dominant. They are the most emotionally regulated. They don't rush closeness. They don't collapse when it doesn't happen. They don't turn intimacy into a test of worth. When you finally express desire, it should feel like a shared recognition, not a request for approval. Your energy should communicate, I'm enjoying this connection, and I'm open to more with you, not I need more to feel okay. This subtle difference changes everything. If she senses that intimacy is an option rather than an obligation, her nervous system stays open. If she senses that her answer will be respected without emotional consequences, she relaxes, and relaxation is the gateway to desire. Here's the paradox that most men resist. The moment you become okay with intimacy not happening, it becomes more likely to happen, because you're no longer asking to be chosen. You're offering a space where choice is safe. And when a woman feels free to choose, she often does. Even when the answer is no or not yet, How you respond writes the future. If you remain present, warm, and unchanged, her system learns something important. Closeness with you does not cost her autonomy. That lesson is rare, and rare things are desired. Men who respond well to not now often experience later without asking again, not because they waited strategically, but because they proved emotional safety. So stop thinking of intimacy as a moment to succeed or fail. Think of it as a conversation your nervous systems are already having. Your words should simply align with what's already present. And here's the question I want you to answer honestly. When you ask for intimacy, are you asking to share connection or are you asking to soothe something inside you? Write your answer in the comments. If this helped you see things differently, like the video, subscribe for deeper female psychology and share this with a friend who keeps getting rejected without knowing why.